team is not bunch of smart individuals. Teams are these living, breathing systems. They are collective intelligence at the power of infinity.
If I just focus on the I as a word, I cannot create a community. I have to think of the word we and us.
But before I hand it over to Anu, I'd love to invite Sunny to share a few words about our incredible speaker and a little bit about today's session. Sunny, over to you.
Yep. Thanks, Anna. So I want to truly appreciate you coming to Life by Design. I know we have been talking about this, and it was great to see you in Seattle in the beginning of this year during the mastermind there. And I think only a few people that I came across where people have really amazing heart, and they show up to give, and you're one of those individuals. And I think that mindset alignment, the values alignment is what really, when did we meet? Like 2 years ago? 2 years ago, our journey started there with our friendship, and I'm blessed to get to know you. And thank you so much for coming to this Life by Design session. And we are so excited to learn from you today. And thank you for adding so much value to this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Sunny. And thank you, Anamika, for such a beautiful introduction. I appreciate both of you, and lovely to be here. I can see so many faces here, and just excited to see all of you present and with your cameras on, which is also rare. I never get to start a session with Bhangra and then I never see so many people with their cameras on, and that just reflects on the culture of the organization. So thank you. And when you see faces, otherwise in a Zoom or online setting, not knowing who is on the other side can be quite challenging. So please keep them on and keep smiling. It helps the speakers. So, Sunny, you can attest to that, isn't it?
100%, 100%. Energy flows.
Energy flows, exactly. So, Sunny, very familiar. Do you see this, and all the memories come back? Come back.
That place sounds familiar.
From Everest Base Camp Trek. So 11 days of hiking, 86 miles. At 17,600 feet, we were there. We were there at the Everest Base Camp. And there were 8 of us in ages ranging from my older son, who is 32 years old, to a 74-year-old woman. An eclectic group of people who had come together to do this hike. And it wasn't a solo feat. We had our challenges, but we were there together with each other. Now, if ascent was something we were 100% committed to, the descent was a different challenge altogether. We had decided that we will hike up, but we were coming down on an helicopter. So we had another team of 7 people, which is 3 Sherpa guides and 4 porters. So actually a team of 15 people. So we decided when we coming down on the helicopter, but as the lead Sherpa guide, we always used to say, here, Everest chooses. So Everest had another plan for us. It was actually, the weather changed and no helicopters were landing. So we decided to start hiking down, and we came to a place called Pariche. Sunny, I don't know if you ended up in Pariche. It's the most beautiful, idyllic place in the entire trek. And this is the picture of Pariche. So just even looking at it, isn't it just so gorgeous? So we were in this most beautiful place on earth, and we were waiting for helicopters. But now we were not in the same state of mind. We were eager to go back home. Some of us had our flights. In 2 days from Kathmandu, we were going back to our corporate jobs. And here we were sitting there waiting for a helicopter. 1 day turned into 2. 2 days turned into 3. And there's 1,000 rupees bucket, hot bucket of water, which Sunny also might have experienced. But that bucket of water was also not cutting it. We were getting frustrated. Every morning we will go down to this area from the tea house, waiting for the helicopter to land. And even when the helicopters would land, they would do emergency evacuation. So we'll just be there, and almost the whole day we'll be there, because we don't know which helicopter will be ours. The 74-year woman was very frustrated. She had it. She thought that the trekking company wasn't doing enough. So then when the next helicopter came, landed, and took off, she went berserk. She lost it. And she ran to this 23-year-old Sherpa guide, and she had it. She told him, just call your boss right now. I need to talk to him. You guys are not doing it enough. This is not cutting it. And she had all the choice words to tell him how that team was failing. So this Sherpa, the 23-year-old Sherpa, has the same name as my son Ranjan. So they both share the name Ranjan. And there his face went white. I'm there with her, standing by this woman. And this kid could only say, sorry ma'am, sorry ma'am, sorry ma'am. But we were not listening. I was also a part of this. I became complicit in this, right? And not listening. And here, if you see towards the right, you probably see the swamp. I wonder if you can see the swamp. This was this area which we were avoiding. You see people walking, they are walking around the swamp. So the corner right of the screen is the swamp, and they're walking around. But we were in such huff that we walked right into the swamp. And we were stuck. The more we walked in, the more we were getting stuck in it. And this area, we didn't know it had so much stench. We had moved the stench, and now we had this, there was no way out. The more additional step meant more getting in. And there the helicopter landed. Our helicopter landed, and our team was calling us, and they had no idea that we were stuck. And they said, what's taking you so long? Come on over, the helicopter has landed. And we just didn't know how to get out. And at that moment, Ranjan was there with the two Sherpa guides. He took us out. He pulled us out, and we got into the helicopter. I don't think that pilot would have ever had such passengers. I don't remember how he flew the helicopter, but I bet he would be using one hand to close his nose because of all the smell that was coming from us being in that in the swamp. A perfectly functioning team had broken down. And I have a question before we go to the next slide. And I bet, let's see if the question's already there for you. And it's there. Kritika has already done it. Have you ever been on a great team that falls apart during a trigger incident? Because this team, which had functioned well for 11 days, we would become so close, were now us versus them. From a we, it was Nepalis versus Westerners. We had become the Westerners. And then there were the Nepalis, and we just didn't treat them like us, like we. Have you ever been on a team like that? And you can just say yes or no. I just want to see, have you been on a team which falls apart under pressure? I wonder. Yes, Randall says yes. Yes. So we're going to talk about, yes, we've all been on such teams where, everything is going well, and then a single moment of conflict happens and the team is just right, no longer team. The I's appear, the egos appear, the silos appear, the individual goals become more important than the collective. And this woman getting out of there became more important than how we do this. And we forgot to be a team. But here is the deal. Team is not bunch of smart individuals. I'm a team coach. I do this work with teams. I have coached many teams who'd call me, especially when there's a lot of dysfunction. But sometimes they'll call me because they want to become better. They know that the collective potential of teams is much higher than any individual. The capacity for the team to achieve something is much, much higher than any individual. Teams are these living, breathing systems. They are collective intelligence at the power of infinity, if we know how to use it, how to leverage it. And here is the other deal. Only 12% of the teams are high performing. What happens? What's such a big deal? Why do teams fall apart? Or sometimes not come together at all. They always stay in that storming stage. What do you think? What do you think? Because as humans, we are wired for survival. And Jaspal wants to answer that question. Jaspal, yes. What do you think happens? Why do these triggers make the teams fall apart?
I think everyone has a different opinion. So sometimes, they can contradict and that can cause an issue. So
no, that is exactly what is when we forget what the collective we is and get stuck on the individual I, the teams can fall apart. What else? Anyone else wants to take a stab at why do teams fall apart?
Maybe at times because of the leadership style.
Yeah. Can a leader bring teams together? And also the ownership is also on the individuals. Every individual is a leader in a team. Right? Yes, Harsha, that's great. Yeah, and Randall talks about stress makes us default to either flight or fight or collaboration. And that's the biggest thing. We are human beings are wired for survival. We are used to seeing tigers when there are none. And anytime we see tigers, which is a threat to us, we go into flight, fight, freeze, appease. And that time, I becomes the most important thing. I need to protect myself. I need to run away from this tiger. I need to either fight it or I need to hide under the table. Or, sometimes appease. And that is one of the biggest reasons when we go into fight flight mode, freeze and appease mode, we fall apart. There's another thing which Anamika said, I'm just lack of clear purpose. Why are we there together? A lot of times we come together as a team, but we don't know why are we there as a team. Why are we not just bunch of individuals working on this? And that's another reason. So we have all these reasons not aligned to purpose, fight, flight, not having psychological safety, distrust that builds up. And once we are in that mode, we go into that survival mode. We go into that loop of survival. Panic leads to self-doubt and trust issues. This is brilliant. This is amazing. Manish says that. Anurag says clashes of egos. Yes. Lack of understanding and communication gap. Yes. There's more coming. And Mohit says in such situations, you start to think of your own survival first. Yes. Oh my God, this is great. This is amazing. So you know all the reasons why teams can fall apart. But we're going to focus the next 25 minutes on what brings teams together. How do we bring not just high-performing teams? How do we become the most innovative teams? How do we become the most futuristic teams? How do we build solutions of challenges people even haven't thought of? And that's where our focus is going to be. Amazing, guys. Keep this coming. But I'm going to stop reading this so that I can move to the next part. But doesn't mean you need to stop bringing all the reasons, because the more we can see these, more we can make them visible, the more we can move to the other side. So we talked about this. Fear, trust, blame drives us to the swamp. You have already talked about it. Now, there are certain things in our favor that human beings, when they are wired for survival, also are wired for teaming. You know why we have survived? The human race have survived is not because of our strength. We have survived because of our smartness, our ability to team. Because when a mammoth will show up in front of humans, our ancestors, our prehistoric ancestors, the teams went into action. Every single individual knew what to do. What was the position they will take? What will they fight? What angle would they take? Where is the spear going to? They had practiced that scenario of mammoth being in front of them. Practiced it multiple times together, and together is how they took over that mammoth and survived. We won't be here if our ancestors were not wired for teaming. And you know, nature knows it. Not just our ancestors, birds and bees know how to do this. You know how bees work? The scout bees, they will go out one bee, and their job is one. Their collective purpose is to find the best nesting site for the bees. Where can the bees nest together? So one scout bee will go in and find a great site, come back and do a bhangra, actually do a wiggle dance, but we can call it a bhangra. That bee will do a bhangra and announce that it's found a great site. The next bee will go in and look at that site, because that bhangra gives them the exact location of that site. It's giving you the coordinates. This is where the site is. We'll go in and check that site, and if it independently agrees, come back and do a bhangra again. And the next bee will go, and enough bees will go. But only after enough bees have come and done the bhangra, that's when the team decides that all the bees are going to go there, and that is going to be their nesting site. So what are some of the things we can learn from the bees? Number one is they have a collective purpose. The purpose of every single bee is what? To find the best nesting site for the collective bees, not for just her. It is for all the bees together. So that's the collective purpose. And the second thing is they are independent and autonomous in your decisions. Just because somebody says we should go right or left, we are not just following them blindly. We are going and making an independent judgment. And when there is enough of quorum in that judgment, that is when the decision is made. So number two is independent judgment. Number one is collective purpose. And number three is very few rules. There are very few rules. And you know which company understood this clearly? A company which understood this clearly early on in the process was Netflix. Do you remember, has anybody ever, I don't know, mostly young people I see, maybe Blockbuster, you're not even aware of Blockbuster. But in my days, we used to go to Blockbusters and get DVDs. Maybe Sunny, I don't know if you went to Blockbuster and got DVDs.
But when I moved here in 93, that was the only place to go and get your tape for the VCR.
Yes. So that's how we watched movies. That was entertainment for us. So the company which changed everything was Netflix. They redefined the whole way entertainment is consumed. They continue to redefine. And when Reed Hastings, who is his book, everyone should read it, Rules, No Rules book. Has anyone read that book? Rules, No Rules book? I'll highly recommend it. So when he was asked, how did Netflix became such a huge disruptor in how entertainment is consumed, he said that we value people over processes. We value innovation over efficiency, and we have very few rules. Very few rules. Somebody raised a hand and I missed that. That hand went away just when I was about to say,
That was
do you want to
me,
raise your
Anu.
Yeah, Poonam, tell me. There's something you wanted to share.
Yeah, no, I just raised my hand to say that, yes, I read the book. Very interesting how they disrupted the market, was able to relate to your Blockbuster example as well. And the culture code that they shared, Netflix shared, that was interesting, that teams are highly aligned but loosely coupled. That's what I remember from the book, that they are rowing in the same direction, but yet they have their own freedom to operate. So very interesting book.
Yeah, and I love it. When I explain this in my next talk, I'm going to explain it exactly like that. Now I remember that, highly aligned, loosely coupled. Very few rules. Right? So there is another study done by MIT Professor Negroponte, and he said that the best performing teams, the performance and innovation doesn't come from pure agreement. It comes from differences. We need to bring our differences forward for teams to become highly comfortable with each other, but also very innovative. So how do we do this? For me, this was a challenge. As a team coach, I'm like, how do I take this to the teams in a way they understand it? That, this superficial agreements don't move us forward. This artificial harmony is not the best way to high-performing teams. And my answer came up through, you know what? Thai red curry. That's where I found the answer. And I think Sunny has heard this, but it might also. And Sunny has raised his hand as well. Sunny, is there anything you wanted to say here?
Yeah, no, just to support that idea, the point that you mentioned in the last slide, especially when you look at those companies, Netflix type of companies, they have a lot more leanings towards innovation, and innovation is normally done with new thinking and lab work. So they have like a really amazing lab team that they're experimenting, they are innovating, they're creating new, they're challenging everything, and they have no borders when it comes to their thinking. And I think now, the point that I wanted to make there, Anu, is that now every single professional on this call and in this world, they have to be aware, and they have to be aware that AI being here is rewriting everything. And if we are not doing more in new thinking, unlearning the way we were doing things pre-AI world, if we don't unlearn and relearn and then reimagine everything that we do in our roles, then we cannot be future-proof professionals and future-proof companies. So then you become Blockbuster, because you are Blockbuster and Netflix. Netflix created a future-proof company to get into the new world, to your example, and Blockbuster became, they fell off of this earth. There are no stores, there's no brand. Kodak to other some of the companies that we are probably used to. But the point that I wanted to just support you with the last slide is that right now what you're saying is so critical, so important, especially the age that we are entering right now, which is with AI disruption. There will be either people will be disrupted or people will become different, and being different means they will create differentiators or differentiation as a professional, as a company. So either you get disrupted or you differentiate yourself by being AI powered and professional.
Yeah. Thank you, Sunny. So wisely said. Either become extinct or become lead the way. And lot of companies will become extinct because the transformation is happening faster than we can imagine. The change is here. There is no denial, and it's exponentially happening. This biggest change in my life that we are going through in terms of technology. Yeah. Another example, Manish, yes, another example is Nokia. Yeah. Really good. I'm so glad. I'm just happy to see an engaged audience. This is I can already tell this is a great culture. People are engaged. Each one of you is here, and I can feel that energetically. So let's just move to what I recognize. So what's the formula? What are my 3 circles of conflict and compassion, and where did it come from? I love to make Thai red curry. It's my favorite dish. You take the first bite, and that chili jolts you. It wakes you up. And just before it can overpower you, the coconut milk comes in like a soothing balm. It just makes it easier on the palate to enjoy that curry. Now just imagine that curry without chili. There's no spice in it. It's insipid, it's boring, it's dull. Now just imagine it without chili, it's insipid, but without coconut. Too fiery, too harsh. It burns your throat. You're probably next morning paying price for it. So it's not working. But when they are in the right proportion, it is delicious. It is the best dish I have ever tasted, and I continue to make and taste and have our friends enjoy it. The chili is your conflict. Chili is the cutting through the status quo, pushing the status quo. Chili is igniting a spark which is different than what the candle is burning. We can have another spark, a different idea that can ideate. And coconut milk is your compassion. Because if you bring just conflict into the world, just imagine, you become the naysayer. Have you been sometimes a part of the team where you are doing no buts all the time? Right? No but, no but, no but. This is better. People stop listening to you. But if you say all the times, yes, I agree, yes, I agree, yes, I agree, even though you have a different idea, that is, passive agreement to something you totally don't believe in. But I know conflict is hard, and I had another question which I would love to know on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being conflict avoidance. I don't want to go there. Let's just stay in our lanes. Let's just not push the status quo. I want peace in life. No, I'm not going to bring up that issue. No, let them do it. Anyway, they are not going to listen to me. That's you. And the 10 is where, okay, bring on the conflict. We are ready for this. Where would you place yourself? If you're willing to share it. It's okay. If you don't want to share it, that's fine too. But just, recognizing, maybe within yourself you can say, I am at a 3 or I am at a 2, and just taking a moment to recognize where you are. Because sometimes we don't want conflict because the other side doesn't respond to conflict. So we need compassion in equal dosage. We need psychological safety in equal dosage. We need a room for dissent, room for disagreement, an invitation for disagreement. And that is your conflict plus compassion. So just recognizing where we are and also saying, what do we need to move this needle on conflict forward? And the biggest thing we need is the ability to have that compassion for the other human being. Okay. And so now a lot of numbers are coming in, but also Rico has a thought around it. People usually don't like someone who always asks why, but they appreciate someone who focuses on how to get things done. And Rico, I would also challenge you on that, because sometimes we want to know, ask that why. Why are we doing it this way? Why do we always do it this way? Is there another way of doing it? And I remember this is earlier in my career. I just started working as a software test engineer. That was my first job in the corporate in the IT realm. Before that, I was an aerospace engineer in India with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. And when I was testing this app, I said, how do I create login and password? And they say, password is in this ini file, the initiating file. And I'm like, you have a login and password in an ini file, a password? And this was 25 years ago, more than that. But me asking that question helped everybody recognize, oh my God, there is no security on this product. You install the product and you could go into its file and you can get password from that. But nobody had asked that question before on why do we always have to pick up the password from the ini file. So asking the why question is important to bring that, pushing the status quo or bringing that change in. I hope that makes sense. All right, so now we have about 10 minutes to go over my 3 circles that I was going to give you. This is this is the framework I've created. This is the framework I sell. I teach, I come and coach people on, and we help transform teams. So I'm going to give this away right now. We want to go through it, isn't it? So the first circle is the I circle. Everything begins with the self. If we're not looking within, we can't look outside. For us to come fix the world, first we have to fix ourselves. We have to identify our own strengths and weaknesses. We have to work on our triggers. We have to know, how do I respond to a challenge? What happens when I am triggered? What do I do? Even after years of work on myself, I still went with the trigger of someone else. I just went along. And that is the point in time I should have asked myself a question. Is this who I am? Is this the work I've done? Right? What would be the right response in this? I know my teammate is so triggered with helicopter not arriving here. But how am I responding to that trigger? So that's the work. And asking yourself, do you get caught in your own chili, your ego, your desire to be right, or your fear? Sometimes we have the fear overtake us. And can we face the fear? Can we be okay with our fear? And then go from there. We don't have to overcome fear, but we have to recognize, and that's the work I do in the I circle. And this is where mindful awareness works. Even simple things like, how many of you have heard of Tara Brach? She brings this mindfulness tool of rain. I know the rain, not the rain of Seattle, the rain tool. And I don't have time now to go over it, but I'll send a link to Anamika and she can share with you. But just doing these mindfulness exercises on how I respond to triggers, are one important way to work on the I circle. Sometimes we can have so much of self compassion take over that it's no longer self compassion, it becomes self pity. It transforms to self pity. Oh, I need to protect myself, or oh, I'll never go there, or so, and then oh, environment is like that, and we become victims of that situation. We are in that self pity, and these mindfulness awareness exercises exposes ourselves to ourselves. We become more aware of them. That is the I circle of conflict and compassion. I want to pause here for a moment if this is making sense. I mean, there's a lot of quiet in the room now. The energy is very quiet. I just want to check in with Sunny too on if there's something he wants to add here in his wisdom, because I've met Sunny and we have talked a lot, so I know he has wisdom around this area also.
Yeah, I think the only, I love the framework that you share there, Anu. And maybe we can, Anamika, what are your thoughts? You have been very quiet.
No, because I do a lot of talking for the session, around the session. So I would really love to invite a lot of people. We have some amazing people here. How about Ankur? Ankur, I see you. Awesome, Ankur.
Yeah, how does I circle resonate? What about I circle resonates?
Well, I think this is the starting point, first of all. Anu, this is great stuff. And I was just mesmerized and listening to the conversation that you've been having and sharing this wisdom. And personally, I feel this is the starting point. This is where it all starts. It's just like the Big Bang for all the great things happening in anybody's life. So the greatest room of improvement would always be I circle. And I circle is where it all starts. So that's what I feel.
Nice. Thank you, Ankur. Thanks a lot. And so just knowing...
just to kind of... I think team, everyone is invited to overall. You can use chat. You can just share your ideas, your thinking. But I think the transformation that you used earlier, Anu, either with anything change, either you are in the threat zone or you are in the transformation zone. But transformation is a present activity and it starts with us. So if I grow, I normally say this, that if I grow, then everything and everyone around me grows.
Yeah.
So everything starts with me.
Yeah. This is also very well said. These are you should call them Sunnyisms. Your quotes can become Sunnyisms. When I grow, everyone grows. Everything grows when I grow. It's really wonderful.
So Anu, in the chat, Nidhi is saying that great things happen when you start working on yourself.
I say, yeah, love it. And then we have one more which just came up. Kritika says, I circle is about introspection. And then Arvind says, I leads us and opens the chapter of self-reflection, self-improvisation, and self-realization. Amazing. All right. So now let's just go to the V circle. And this is where the teamwork comes in, where every individual, when they are fully manifested in themselves, when they recognize who they are, now the collective can become so much more powerful. Right? And the biggest tool in this is the perspectives. And this comes from another book, which if you haven't read, I'll highly recommend. And I'd love to have a raise of hands if you've read that book. It's called William Ury, the guy, the master negotiator in the world, has written a book called Possible. Right? And the name is William Ury. Amazing book it is. My best about one of the best books on teaming. And what he says is that we live in a world which is divided by people who want to be right. That is it. Everybody wants to be right. And we will have, on any situation, we will have perspectives. And he says that you are on your mountain, my EBC, and someone else is on their EBC, and in between those mountains is an abyss, this deep divide. And when I am looking, I have a perspective because I'm looking into you, let's say that, and I see this view. This person's looking towards the other person has another view. So their view, our views are very different. Our perspectives are very different. And we can get hung up on those perspectives, or we can be the one who first builds the bridge, walk to the other side, and turn towards where other person's looking at and see their perspective. And William says that when you do that, the other person will 100% come along and be willing to see the view you have. And that is one of the most brilliant things we can do in bringing teams, to see each other's differences, but recognize that yes, the difference exists, because most of the time we are not even listening. We are so hung up on our own differences. And so this is one of the tools I teach and use here. The other things is going back to what do the birds do, what do the bees do, what is the collective purpose, what did Netflix do, why do we exist, what is our collective purpose, why do we exist as a team? And we must answer that question, and every team should do that exercise. If you can take one thing from here, go back and ask yourself that question, and then come together and say, why do we exist as a team? Create your collective purpose statement. The third thing, so you have perspective taking, you say, why do we exist? The third thing you can do is, what are some of the rules? Netflix has those rules, the birds have the rules, the bees have the rules. Our ancestors, when they fought with mammoths, had the rules. Why? So there are some common rules we need to have. They can be norms, they can be rules of engagement, but this is how we resolve conflict on this team. This is how we bring compassion into our team. These tenets show up in these behaviors. These are 5 things this team is going to abide by. There are no exceptions. Those are your rules of engagement. Very few rules. Netflix says few, loosely coupled. United by mission, united by collective purpose, loosely coupled. We are autonomous, but we are also driving towards the same destination. That means there has to be some guardrails. It can't be totally loose. It's still coupled, loosely coupled. Right? So that is the third thing. So that is our second circle. And Anamika might be getting a little bit nervous now because it's 10:50 here, which is the time she said you should have finished your talk. So I'm going to take 2 or 3 more minutes, Anamika, if that's okay.
100%, Anu. Please go ahead.
Okay. All right. And the us circle is inviting us to look at the bigger vision. And this is the organization itself. This is the earth itself, the planet we inhabit, the energy we bring, the difference we are making in the world. Sometimes, I talk about silos to teams. Sometimes the teams itself can become siloed. And that happens in the ego of the team. I'm a better team than that. No, this is the team they will trust. This is the only high-performing team. And then that times teams become very narrow in their vision. They stop caring about the larger circle. They stop looking at what does this organization need from us. Maybe if we become a better team, what are the 3 teams we can raise to become just like us? Instead of we becoming like this exclusive team, everybody is going to come after because now we are the best. You can't beat us. And that ego can also kill us and take us away from our real purpose on this earth. Why are we born? Why is humanity inviting us to do? Why do we need to raise the bar on humanity when the world even seems crazier than before? And that is my invitation with the Us Circle. And there are exercises we do here. One of the exercises I do is the Ravana exercise, which is the, epic Ramayana. Our Ravan was the most brilliant of all scholars in the world. He had 10 heads, each head more capable than any one individual could do. But there was just so much conflict. Each head had its agenda. It was driven by its own ego. The wisdom head could not really talk to the strength head, could not talk to the knowledge of Vedas, which were already there in one of the heads. And that can happen when we don't look at the Us Circle. And so that's one of the exercises we do together. All right, so Nelson Mandela is the one example I always give, is who truly embodied courage and compassion, conflict and compassion. So I would love for you to read his story as well and see how he would invite people for tea, just cup of tea, and convert his most difficult adversaries into allies. Most difficult enemies to allies, just because he could build those bridges and he could operate. He's always operating at us level, not at a I, or he had done the I work, he had done the we work, and then he operated at what does us need. And with that, here's another, this is the photograph I put mostly for Sunny, if he recognizes this place. Did you go to this monastery, Sunny?
Yes. Yeah.
Tang Boche. Do you remember Tang Boche?
Yes.
And the reason I put this picture, Sunny, is that when I went in, there has the biggest statue of Buddha. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember?
Yes, just a little bit before this gate on the left.
Yeah, and there's one inside the monastery itself. When we went inside the monastery, and I asked my lead guide, I said, the statue came, this monastery has been, was destroyed in fire, destroyed in earthquake. It was destroyed multiple times and created again. But that statue of Buddha has stayed. And I asked him, how did they bring this huge statue? There are no roads which lead up to this. Currently, the only mode of transport is helicopter. In 1800s, they didn't have helicopters either. And I said, how could they bring it? And he said something which I totally believe in. And he says that there are some things we can't answer. And that is the magic of life. And we have to trust in that magic. And so that is the magic I want all of you to experience. And I think we can experience it when we move to that Us Circle.
Yeah.
With that, I am out of time, not at time, majorly out of time. But I'll see if there are questions that we can answer. And here is my humble request. I would love your feedback. If you can take your phones out, take this picture of this and respond to this. Google form has 3 questions, takes less than a minute. And that'll be something you can do for me. With that, I'm also inviting questions. I will continue to see the chat. And even wisdom, because we have this collective wisdom. You already know these answers. There's perhaps not much new we have to discover in the world. The wisdom lies right here, is available to us. Sometimes it's the reminders. Right? And then Kritika had the final question also for you here, and which was she might have already put in here.
Yes, it's in the chat, Anu, already. Which circle are you committing to and how? I,
Yeah.
we, and us.
Yeah, where will you do your work? Because teams don't happen on their own. Yes, there is magic with that Buddha statue being there, but there is work we have to do. Teams don't happen on their own. Organically, sometimes some great teams can come together, but mostly when you start dissecting them, they have some rules, they have a collective purpose. You start recognizing they have the B formation, they have Netflix idea, they are already doing all the things we talked about. So where is your work going to happen? So I have two things. Yeah, you can take yourself off mute and share.
So we can use the chat, everyone.
Yeah, and if there are a couple of pieces of wisdom, if Sunny has anything to add here.
But before that, I
I'll-
think, sorry, Sunny, I would love to thank from all of us, thank you, Anu, for such a powerful and grounding session. I think today's reminder was very clear to all of us that when we lead with courage and compassion, we just don't work better, we connect better. And I think that's how lasting human-centered cultures are built. So thank you so much from the behalf of entire ITBD community. And let's just take this moment, everyone, to please use the chat reaction once again and share some love with the energy, Anu, that you demonstrated and, took the session. I think it was just so amazing. So thank you so much. And Sunny, with the final few words, over to you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anu. Thank you so much, Anu. No, I think it's just when we talk about IT by design, it's community that we talk about. And I think, Anu, your wisdom, your experience, and the way kind of you shared that in a very, very powerful story way, it's more of that we and us. That's where we accomplish more together. That togetherness, that oneness, and the impact is always bigger. And that's how you say it's community at work, because I can, if I just focus on the I as a word, I cannot create a community. I have to think of the word we and us. And that's what communities are all about. And that's what life is all about, right? And so thank you so much, Anu, that compassion, that courage, that creativity that you bring is so amazing. Truly appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Sunny. And do you want to end with the Bhangra?
Yeah, let's do that. Drishti, come on. Where are you, Drishti? Drishti,
This could
get
be
up.
one of the rare sessions that we end with Bhangra.
Yeah. And everyone is invited. Everyone can do it. If you want to join me and Drishti, get up. Stand.
Happy birthday to whose birthday were we celebrating? Here I don't see him anymore.
Yeah, he had early birthday start. Had too much.
He is here. Here he is. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Thanks. Really appreciate it. It's been,
bye, guys.
You have been amazing audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anu. Thanks.